Empiricism for many people represents truth, but the empirical method assumes a lot, and this makes it part of a much broader and conclusive experiment. It is an experiment in which we all have a role to play. No doubt you see little children trying things out and seeing what works. We know that living a life to debauchery never works out well. These are experiments on a small and personal scale. All of these life trials we observe all take place within a particular context. We have seen the world change over the centuries. These are not random or unrelated events, they all harken back to the beginnings or the experiment and the tests it is making. We might ask if the world is physically real. Do our assumptions as to its realness produce good results? But this is not the real test. The real test is, if we governed by fate, if we are, then the universe is physical and causality is the only thing we need to consider when predicting future outcomes. If fatalism is the necessary attitude we must adopt, then fear is justified. There is no way to change outcomes and life truly is absurd. Or, is there reason for faith? Do we dare trust one another to do the right thing? To have faith is to reject fatalism. To have faith is to reject competition. If we are not competitors, then we no longer need the state. We ultimately realize the faithful are a new people, in a new reality subscribing to a totally different philosophy of life. The crucial question is, how do the fearful learn to trust when to trust puts all they have at risk? We must identify the source of risk in our fatalism. Fatalists subscribe to a casualist view of the universe. They are what the Bible calls the people of the flesh. Fatalists can give up and identify as victims of the cruel jests of fate, or gamble they can beat the odds. Either way, life is absurd and others pose a threat to them. Thus both groups look for an edge and find it in the state. The success of fatalism centers on the success of the state. But the state brings nothing to the table but the ability to change the odds in favor of one group in relation to another. It cannot alter the actual payout. Embracing the state can be seen as making a deal with the devil or selling one's legacy for a plate of pottage. The test group based on faith eliminates the source of the risk and competition, the property it never had a right to. This is assigned to a neutral third party called the church. The test group is paid for what it does and it pays for what it gets. Its accounts are kept in balanced and reconciled. Because of this, the church lives a life separate from that lived by fatalists. Because the church holds assets, there is no competition and no risk in the church or in the believer having faith in each other. Its accounts are kept separate from those of the fallen world. Thus, the two groups become the control and test groups, and their performances can be compared in a quantified way. We know who is in the control group, those who are under the regulatory authority of the state. What is not known is who will be in the test group, the group that lives by faith.